now.
Oh, I'm glad all that wasn't recording.
Yeah, but YouTube still's like, is it even
It's
live?
gonna get there. It always takes a second, Captain.
It's there's a 10-second
You work with
delay.
technology.
Yeah, because
Come on.
if
okay, there we are. We're live.
If you start cursing up a storm, then I have to drop all that so we don't have like explicit lyrics.
Yeah,
and
we don't want to get banned.
Yeah.
Hey, Dr. Dre rules.
Janet Jackson rules is what it was.
Nip slip.
Nip slip. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping for that this year, but Rihanna let me down. Instead, she was pregnant. It was like, oh, come on.
I was watching it. It's like, man, she's really good. And I know every single one of these songs, but like, I'm like, I turned to my wife. I'm like, was she popular? And I'm like, I know she was. Like, they were like every one of those songs, like every lyric is burned into my memory. So evidently it played a lot and I heard it a lot. So I was like how many, like, is she more like, I was like, who do I compare with? Like Beyonce? Like,
I think technically she's like one step below Beyonce.
No,
wait, hold on,
way more popular, like way more albums than Beyonce. Like,
I don't know about popularity, but she's richer than Beyonce.
Way more, yeah. She owns her own makeup line and everything
because of
like,
Fenty, because of that stuff, right?
Which I saw her like reference. Like, I know this stuff, and like,
but I don't know in terms of popularity who's bigger, her.
I use her makeup all the time. You think I would have realized that?
You should have known that was her that you were putting on there.
Because Beyonce came from that other group that they were really popular.
Destiny's Child.
Yep, they were really popular too. So
I don't know. I was like, man, she has a lot of hits. She's had more hits than like she's had 11 hits or something. It was some insane amount of hits that were.
But keep in mind, Beyonce has the record for most Grammys, right?
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're both talented. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't like comparing people. All I know is at first I was like, wow, she put on a bit of weight. And then I was like, oh, she's pregnant.
She's probably pregnant there, yeah.
Yeah, she's not really moving too much to these songs. And I was like, she's tethered to that platform.
Yeah, I was like, man, what's the liability on that? Like,
yeah, I know.
I was looking at it, I'm like, how did they do this? Like the lines were like tiny, like you could barely see them holding those massive platforms with people dancing on them the whole time, moving them up and down. I'm like,
yep,
that is no.
And then she had a tether on the back of her to the platform.
Yeah, right? But I'm like, I would not do that. I would not, if I was a stage designer, I'd be like, nope, no pregnant women, nope. It's not happening. Like,
I did not account for this extra weight.
No, it's just like, it's not going to happen. Not in front of 80 million people.
I told you the platform was for one person only.
Well, it depends on which state you're in, if it's two people or not.
Hey. Ohio enters the chat.
I kept watching for that. Like they'll always have that one person come and untether her. I kept watching for that, and then I saw the person. I was like, "There, she's untethered." That was my job. Oh, there she got tethered again.
Who's gonna unclip the thing? Yeah, I did that too. I had to admit it. I was looking for them. It's like, but I hadn't seen, and I'm sure it's out there, like the setup and teardown. But it seemed like it was a lot easier this year. It was kind of like one long thing where it's kind of wheeled in real fast, and then the lines came down. They connected them up because that wasn't connected unless the stage was already up above. And
no, I don't think it was connected because during
the fireworks, they were there. So I don't know.
Before they were showing the people standing on it, and it wasn't connected yet. And then they went to commercial, and then they were raised up and stuff.
Again, I would not have ever like, nope, those thin little wires. No, thank you. No. Not
well, I'm pretty sure those thin little wires can handle Rihanna, but not me.
Yeah, I mean, there were three people.
I need a thicker wire.
On the other platforms,
maybe a fifth one.
There were three people dancing on them. So I mean, they were like moving around and stuff. I'm like, that's just this is crazy. I don't know how they did it, but that's the Super Bowl for you.
The only thing I know about the Super Bowl is I had to do an emergency service call. So,
oh no, somebody couldn't watch their TV.
Yeah,
we'll save that for the show.
Dennis just called me the co-host. Like, he doesn't know my name yet. The episode was literally named "There's Only One Gavin." like TJ.
Nobody
we'll
knows
put
who
this in
you
the
are,
link.
Gavin. I mean, the only people that know who you are is the average guy TV network people.
But the episode he was listening to was named. There's only one Gavin. He still didn't
Yeah.
even reference me by name.
Nope.
There's only one. There can only be one. It's like Highlander. He goes around and chops people's home assistant
around
off.
the world and find all the other Gavin Campbells and get rid of them.
Especially that guy that keeps using your email.
Oh, I got like 4 of them. Like there's one in South Africa, one in England, one in New
South
Jersey,
Africa.
and
Get
one
some
in
travel ahead of you.
Barbados, I think. Yeah,
Barbados.
those are the 4 different places I've gotten emails from, and I've responded. Oh no, and I'm on a community list. I forget where in the States it is, but there's a guy selling meats in the community orders meat together, and it was a homeowners association. They're asking for opinions, and I actually replied with my opinion on it, even though I don't live there. So I didn't like what they were doing. I can't remember what it was about. I should look up the email.
Is this the HOA Gavin or the Meat Man Gavin? I don't know.
No, I'm on some Meat Man Gavin list, but then I'm also on some HOA one, and they keep emailing me asking opinions. Like they email everybody, and they're like, "Can we get your opinion on this?" And there's like 10 people, and I replied once. I didn't like it, but
We didn't move a pick of the week in, actually. Now that I think of it.
Ooh. All right. Well, I'm getting out of the AV business, and I'm gonna go open this pizzeria. So
I'll move
Where's
this
the
old one back in.
pizzeria come
It used to be
from?
Evergreen.
somebody's selling a pizzeria on Facebook. So
oh, is it profitable?
I opened Facebook.
It's only being sold for 85,000, so probably not. But
Hmm.
it's better than what I'm doing right now.
I
What's
opened a Facebook Marketplace the other day, and somebody was selling their Chinese spy balloon for $25,000. It's like slightly used, has a hole in it.
What makes it Chinese?
It was really funny. All right, let's record this show. I'm ready.
Yeah, it's 8:00. Let's do
I know,
that.
it's
We're already
good going.
recording. I mean, it's live right now.
Oh yeah.
Before they discover another balloon.
All
Well,
right.
and I like how the reaction to the whole thing was like, yeah, we adjusted our radar, and there was all kinds of stuff up there. Who would have thought?
Turns out.
And it was carrying a payload. I bet you it's like drug people.
It could have been.
Could you imagine just being like somebody like doing some drone shots of like the lake and stuff, and all of a sudden a big old jet just comes out and shoots missiles at it? You're like, oh, well, I guess I'm not flying my drone here anymore.
It's not high enough. But yeah, that was the scary part because they were like, one was like the size of a bus or something, and they're like, oh, there's all sorts of things floating above us now. It's like, oh my god, you guys now see this?
Yeah, I'm glad we spent all that money on spying on people for the past 20 years. So
We've
upstaged by a
We've been
balloon.
looking
Balloons, who
down
knows?
this whole time and not up.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, just tilt the cameras upwards.
I thought the terrorists were inside of our country.
Yeah, we've been building walls. They've been taking hot air balloons.
Yeah.
Oh no!
We've been blocking them on land, and they've been going by air. You know, like, ooh. There's
Oh,
still that
man.
one kid with 50 balloons in his hand floating across. What do we do with that?
You guys remember Balloon Boy? You're getting off topic.
Yeah.
No, up. There's a house up there floating around.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah,
It's somebody's house.
they finally found the up house.
I
They shot it down.
was wondering what happened to that old guy.
Still
Such a sad
crying about
story.
that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's get going. Wait, what's pick of the week?
I put the evolution of the smart product in there.
Oh,
Aw.
once they put AI into it, it's gonna ruin it for all.
Oh
of
yeah, that's
us.
a good one.
We can definitely talk about AI, and I'll put the GPT powered Bing cry disappointment thing in there too. That's a pick of the week for sure.
Was that the one where he's arguing? Like, I'm so upset that you think I'm lying.
Why did they
or
program me this way?
something? Was that for real though? Like, I was wondering, is that for real? I was like, oh my god, it's gotten emotional now.
Depressed.
We have depressed bots.
Yep. All right, let's get started here.
I feel bad. We should have recorded this part.
Yeah, I think we did.
It's all recorded, Kevin. It's been recording for 10 minutes.
Oh.
All right. Let's see. This is the HomeTech podcast for Friday, February 17th from Sarasota, Florida. I'm Seth Johnson.
From Lewis Center, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
Welcome to the Home Tech Podcast, a podcast all about home technology, home automation, all the fun stuff. In this last week, we had I have in my notes, the Superb Owl, which is probably not how it's spelled, but
That's the best one.
yeah, it's the best owl. You guys have a fun Super Bowl watching party? What'd you guys do?
Yeah, it was actually really good. I really like this year's Super Bowl. Close game.
Close game, yeah.
I actually predicted they would win by 4, and they won by 3, so I was pretty close. We, hung out with the neighbors. We got some chili, some wings, just watched it and had a good time. And we enjoyed the halftime show with Rihanna. That was the biggest ever baby reveal, I've ever seen in my life, And she didn't even have to say anything. Everyone just said it for her. So I really enjoyed it. Thought it was good, and she does have a lot of hits. Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about it before the show. How many number one hits she's had, and like, just it's crazy. Like, I don't really think I don't know. It wasn't my generation, I suppose, that like listened to her a lot. Like, she was around when I was in college or something, and she was there as an artist. I just didn't pay attention. But yeah, she racked up the number one hits left and right, and they always were on the radio for sure. I mean, I know every single one of those songs. So, TJ, you said you had some fun for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I never watched the Super Bowl. It's not really my thing. Sports in general are not really my thing. I don't mind watching them in person, but watching them on TV, it kind of is boring to me. But I had to do an emergency service call for a theater that wasn't working properly. That I had a programming issue, so it eventually it was my fault. But things happen. I'm glad they found out before the game started, though, because I was able to go fix it. It was an easy fix at least. That would have been an awful service call during the middle of the game to go do that, and especially with how late in the afternoon it was. So that is my only experience with the Super Bowl this year.
Well,
it was your fault.
Yeah, he's like, it's my fault. Hopefully you got some chips and dip out of it or something.
Nah, well, I had some drinks in my own house. I think that counts, right?
Oh, yeah, perfectly okay.
Yeah. And seeing how you're a fan of sports ball, this weekend's NBA All-Star Weekend. And,
yeah,
make sure
I'm
you're
going
ready
to
for
that one.
too. Awesome, excellent. Get some autographs, pictures.
It's live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy yourself, TJ. I mean, that's probably we won't be able to record a show next week because of it. So
I'll actually be on the court, but you might not notice me. So just
celebrity game.
Keep me in your thoughts.
He's got sunglasses on and a hat. Yeah, totally.
He'll be in the celebrity game. Don't worry.
If you see Pete Davidson there, that's probably me.
Speaking of celebrities, Gavin, you were on Home Gadget Geeks and talking about all sorts of fun stuff, and you plugged it on last week's show, and then I got busy and I forgot to listen in. I know TJ did, but how was that?
Oh, it was awesome. And I didn't expect you to listen, but TJ doesn't let me down. He's my biggest supporter and I love it. Like on Home Gadget Geeks, they actually let me talk a lot. So that's the great part about it. They don't cut me off.
You never talk on this one.
You sandbagged us on that one, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
I got talking about Home
us
Assistant on Home Gadget Geeks, and you didn't say any words on our show. I have the recordings. I can see how much you talk.
It was literally the same day too. But you always sound more excited to talk to him than you do us. I mean, I'm not really sure what's up with that, Gavin. But
I'm sorry. I'll try and lively up a bit more. If you gave me more than 2 minutes to get what I have to say in.
I feel like you're cheating on us, but
you know what? If I was, at least he knows about you guys because I mentioned your names.
Aww.
Yeah, the very end. I mean, it was like, oh yeah, those guys. I do that thing with them.
I mentioned you, but we did talk.
Special.
We talked a lot. He actually referenced one of our stories about the lighting, the school lighting and stuff. So that was actually kind of funny. We talked about that a bit. But yeah, Home Gadget Geeks. The most shockingly, the one thing that got the chat room all worked up was when I talked about my water meter and bringing it into Home Assistant. All of a sudden, the chat room just kept asking questions about that. I think that went on the whole show pretty much.
Were they asking, "Are you watching my water meter?" Because
they're asking. They were asking, like, how can I monitor my neighbor's water meter? Everybody all of a sudden became like a water meter. Like,
how can I be the neighborhood creep?
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to know how I monitor my water meter, well, Home Gadget Geeks, we get into it.
Yeah, you were talking about like, knowing when your neighbor showers and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of a little weird.
I know. I'm just helping conserve water for those long showers because he complains about his bills. So I set up an automation. Let me know when their neighbor is using too much water, and I message them and say, "Hey, you're using too much water this month. Like gotta cut back on those showers."
No, that is really cool. I've never heard of that capability. So you sent me the link for I think it was like an Amazon listing for it. So I think I'm gonna buy one just to see if I have anything around me. I mean, I'm in an apartment complex. I doubt they really do, but I'm next to a bunch of houses as well. So I'm interested to see if I actually pick anything up.
What is it? SDR antenna? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think you said SDR. And there was like a specific one you sent me that actually had like the little USB thing, because I was finding a bunch of SDR antennas, but none of them had the little USB dongle that you actually plug into a computer. So
so once I plugged it into the USB and I passed it through to my Home Assistant, there was an add-on that you put in, and it just picked it up right away and started pulling everything out of the air and logging it to MQTT. And you just have to create a device off of that to get it, into Home Assistant. It sounds more complicated than it really is, but it was pretty easy.
Yeah, that's what I use the software, the SDR radio thing for, to monitor airplanes. It's kind of the same thing. So I wonder if I can.
That sounds a little creepier than what I'm using.
Oh, you're Elon Jet. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's one of those, like, it's just like a little dongle thing, right? That you plug in, like and it's got an antenna. And I wonder. I bet since all it does is pick up, like, since it's software defined radio, you could just use that. I could probably use that to define what software I wanted to listen to, I guess, or what frequencies.
Yeah, this one on Amazon that Gavin links specifically, it's called an NESDR Nano 2 Plus. And my price on Amazon is $32, which is not much at all.
I had a gift card, and the gift card they gave me only worked on American Amazon, so I had to find something to use it on. So I used it on this, save me some money.
There you go.
Yeah, very cool. All right, guys, what do you say we jump into some home tech headlines?
Let's do it.
I lost my tab.
Bing.
I'm trying to find the videos that Jimmy posts on TikTok because they're really funny and informative. All right. Got some. Whoa. I clicked the wrong button. We got some new product this week. IKEA has already a side table that doubles as an air purifier, but the company's not stopping that there. Now you could have a little gauge you can put on top of the table, and it'll tell you just how clean your air really is. IKEA has released the Vindstyrka. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Don't know. It's a monitor. It's a sleek, modern design plus an oversized display screen showcasing all sorts of information front and center. The company notes that it can measure particulate matter up to 2.5 microns in diameter, humidity, temperature, and TVOC, which is total volatile organic compounds. I'm pretty sure that just means fart detection. And then, according to IKEA, the device will work as a standalone product. However, the company states it will also come packed with plenty of integration potential. And I think I read that it also integrates with Matter. So pretty cool stuff coming from IKEA, it sounds like.
And I thought these were cool. I got the Aclara one. It has like 5 leaves on it, and it does all pretty much the same stuff. And then I was curious about these, so that's why I grabbed these. And it sits on my desk and it shows me 5 leaves, everything's good. And some days it goes down to 4, so I go take a shower, it goes back up to 5. It doesn't really tell me much. Like, my air is good, and I don't know. Are these just a fad? I'm starting to think this may just be a fad. Like, how, I guess, where I am in the world, it doesn't fluctuate as much, and maybe there's other places it does.
I mean, I feel like that's probably good, right? When it doesn't fluctuate for your interior house. I mean, exterior probably is a little more volatile, but I think interior, if you're constantly having air moving around and stuff like that, it's probably not that bad, unless you have some kind of major issue going on.
Yeah, and other issues could include like cooking. I know that sets off the toxic, total volatile organic stuff. Like if you're cooking, so I don't know. That doesn't seem like it's a bad thing if you're cooking, right? But
yeah,
because I don't know. It sets off the sensors either way.
Now, IKEA's been doing a really good job at this, though. I mean, their smart home stuff is pretty inclusive at this point, and it's dirt cheap for what it is. I mean, I really want to try their smart blinds that they have out because I've heard good things about them. They don't have a lot of a lot of sizes out there for them, unfortunately. But I think they're only like $100 to $150 for one of them. And if you've ever looked at smart shades, that is nothing compared to what they normally are.
It's really cheap.
I have those, and they are really good. There's Zigbee; they work well with Home Assistant, and they worked on Habitat, easy to add there too. Only thing is, buy an extra battery. Like if you ever get them, that way when your battery does die, you can just swap in the other one and charge it, and you always have a fresh battery. You don't have to wait, and because in my bathroom, then while it's charging, I can't control anything; it's stuck, right? So they're good. They're worth the money if you can find the size. And if they don't have the exact size, I've seen videos where people actually cut it down, right? If you need, they bought a bigger one and they would actually cut off the size to what they want. So yeah, so keep that in mind if you need.
All right.
There's no pricing on this thing, but everybody talks to similar devices like the AirThings View Plus. It comes in at $299 MSRP. There's definitely no chance that the IKEA is going to be that expensive. It'll probably be, 10% of that. I don't know. Maybe not. But
like, it's a $299 device that does this worth it? Like, because the Clara one cost me $50 or something like that, and I was willing to pay that. But $299 that does the same thing. I don't know. Like, is it worth it?
And it really, I mean, like, I guess I just don't know the inner workings of it, but it really doesn't seem like it would be that complicated to build one, right? Like, it's just got to be a couple small sensors and a small display. I wouldn't really think there would be a lot of complicated technology behind it, but maybe I'm just way underthinking it. So the $300 kind of seems weird to me, but the $300 one probably isn't pushing out as many units as somebody like IKEA is, right? IKEA is probably going to plan to sell millions of these things, whereas the $300 one, they might sell, tens or if not hundreds of thousands. So the scale of them are probably completely different. And the $300 one is probably nicer. I mean, IKEA stuff is not bad at all.
This doesn't look bad at all. It looks pretty good.
I mean, some of their stuff just feels cheap, and it is cheap, so you're going to get that. But I think there's probably a quality difference there. It probably does the same thing though.
Yeah, I'm looking at the one that they referenced, the AirThings View Plus, and it looks about the same. I guess it has doesn't have near of a more interesting screen. The IKEA one looks like it has some color to it, and this one, the IKEA
that $300 one is very boring looking.
Yeah, IKEA looks more fun. I don't know. We'll have to see what it comes in as. Hopefully, it's under $300 because I mean. I don't know. I don't know what these things are worth to people, I guess. How much was the car one?
Said $50, didn't you get?
Yeah, I think it was about $50 or something.
That's what I'd expect.
That's Canadian. Like, it's relatively cheap. And these things should be relatively cheap, I figure, right? Like,
right.
I don't know what the difference between, like, I've seen some others in that $200 to $300 range. Is it really worth it?
I wonder if it's one of those things you have to replace every so often too. Like, does it wear out or anything like that? Or is it just you just keep using it?
I don't know. I read the manual and they never,
I think
never mentioned that.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for this thing, and when it shows up at IKEA, I'll go get some hot dogs and some. What do they have? The cinnamon buns.
Hot dogs.
Yeah, they have like hot dogs and cinnamon buns at my IKEA.
I was thinking meatballs, but
they have the meatballs too. Yeah. And the weird drink. Or it's not drink. It's like lingonberry or something that they put on top. I don't know. Anyway, don't remember. It's been a while. You got a new product here we forgot to talk about last week. Simply Safe has unveiled a new wireless indoor security camera that will allow a monitoring agent to talk to potential intruders. The unimaginably named Smart Alarm Wireless Indoor Security Camera. That's great. Simply Safe. It works similarly to other cameras, but has motion events working in conjunction with the rest of the Simply Safe security system. Has a little bit of AI built into it, so it can actually tell if there is a person or anything, and then it actually sends that off to a monitoring station where a live person, can help escalate the situation and dispatch police if it's somebody that's not supposed to be there. The feature is still in beta, according to SimpliSafe, though it does expect to roll out the option to users as part of a full release before the end of the year. So that's kind of neat. I don't think we've seen that too often in the marketplace, where it's like an active active camera that's monitored by a live person if the triggers get cut off.
There's a couple out there. The only one that's really coming to mind at the moment is Deep Sentinel.
Yeah.
They're live monitored. I'm assuming they're going to be way more expensive though, the Deep Sentinel ones at least. I think like one of the cameras with like the little hub thing runs about $500 if I remember correctly, and it's about $50 or $60 a month for the monitoring. So I imagine the SimpliSafe one will be a little less expensive just because of their target audience. Right. But you're still getting the same characteristics and the same functions out of it. So this is really interesting to me because, security cameras are great because they allow you to go back and see stuff, after it happened. But a lot of times it's a retroactive thing. You realize that your car got hit or somebody stole something out of your car. So you go back and look at it. Whereas these ones, somebody's actively watching it, and if something happens, they're going to come on the camera and tell that person to bugger off. And that makes a big difference because, security cameras are good, but if they're not doing anything, proactively, a lot of times the cops aren't going to do anything for you. And it's basically useless. You can watch somebody take your stuff and that's about it. So these monitored security cameras are really interesting to me.
Yeah. Tell them to bugger off. That's funny. This one, just to be clear, this one doesn't have anybody that's actively watching it. It's only after, like, say you arm your system and this is an indoor camera, the system gets a trigger that somebody's walking through your house, and maybe the system's armed but hasn't picked up that there's a person walking through your house. That's when it would send off that event to somebody to review and to make sure that it's, an active case, and they can yell at them and tell, hey, you need to bugger off, and it could be somebody.
To be fair, I think that's how they all work at the moment, but I might be wrong on that.
I think Deep Sentinel's probably the same. And I know there are some companies that it's kind of like, it doesn't work that way, actually. It's kind of like how you would buy an ad on Google. Like, it's like not pay-per-click, but like pay-per-view, I guess, which is a different thing completely. But bear with me here. Like, you basically are paying for your camera image to be on the screen in front of somebody to be monitored is basically how it works. So like, as it gets, you're guaranteed to have that on the screen for so many seconds for somebody to actively be looking at it. But I would probably trust an AI solution over that any day. If somebody's sleeping or lazy at their job or whatever, and they miss somebody monkeying around and not see them or something like that, that could definitely happen. I see that in the movie all the time.
And I can't remember if it was last year. It was either James or Owen. I think they posted a video in the hub of one of the services that did something similar. So it picked it up on the camera and then told the person over the speakers, and they had bigger speakers. It wasn't just camera speakers, but it told the thieves to bugger off at that point. And it was impressive to see that, like having actually, it's different when you have a recorded voice that, hey, this is being monitored, bugger off, versus somebody that says, hey, we see what you're doing.
I can see you right now.
I can see you right now.
You're wearing a red shirt.
It's like, hey, Jimmy, we know you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's a great security. I know that a lot of cameras have like pre-recorded announcements that you can build into them. But it definitely is better if it feels or sounds like it's coming from someone that's watching
real person.
you.
Yeah.
Well, I have a little camera sideline here. I just got shipping notification for my Ring dash cam. So I should have that tomorrow. Hopefully I'll get it installed in the van, by the weekend. Maybe I'll have some feedback for it next week. So I think I pre-ordered it in early January, and it was supposed to ship by now. So I'm glad it shipped just tonight.
It says Home Gadget Geeks had a guest on that provides security camera monitoring service. So yeah, it's not common, but it's becoming more common. Thank you, Keyboard 101. There in the chat. And I think it's a cool add-on service if somebody's doing it right. And this seems like the way to do it. Grab an AI event. The cameras I noticed are pretty good at picking up like person detection and that kind of thing, even at a very low price point. Just drop that in to a stream, send it up to somebody for review, make sure that they're reviewing it, and in a timely manner, and have them trigger off sound events or be able to talk back to them. It's a brilliant idea. I like it.
My only concern is I would want, especially for indoor cameras, I want to know 100% that when this is disarmed, you guys cannot see this feed, right? Like that's my only concern, because yeah, they can say, oh, when it's disarmed, no one's watching it, but that's different. I want to know that nobody can even access it, when it's disarmed. So I think that would be important that they announce that.
Well, that's why we
ahead,
pair a lot of times we pair ours. I mean, my house specifically, we pair it with some kind of controlled outlet. And so whenever we come home, it'll turn all the camera outlets off, and then the cameras are, they're off then. Because I think Unify has a way where you can just like turn them off through the software. But I just feel more comfortable if I know that they actually do not have power. And those are relatively easy to set up for, a $20 or $30 little outlet. So that would be my recommendation for anybody putting cameras inside their house, is have some way to turn them off. And there's plenty of ways to automate that now.
And if you're a Blue Iris person, you can set up schedules so that they stop recording. I'm just throwing this out there. They can stop recording when they're,
that's you. That's not
schedule.
You're putting, like, with Simply Safe in this manner, like in this case, or what was it, Deep Sentry or something like that?
Deep Sentinel.
Deep Sentinel, Deep State.
Deep State.
Yeah. With those, you're placing your trust in those companies to do that kind of thing. And, I mean, we just have a blanket policy. There's no eyeballs in the house. Like, so the eyeballs are outward facing, and we'll monitor out there, but anything in the house is off limits.
Well, and that's a fair point too, because I mean, like, what was it? The Roomba story that just came out like a month or two ago, where, they have a little camera on top of the Roomba that can detect when it's under, a couch or something like that. But there's, third parties in different countries or wherever they're at in the world, and they can see those live camera feeds at various times because it takes pictures and uploads them to the cloud. And then, magically those photos end up on social media and other places. So like that is a super valid concern that people should have. I mean, I personally do not want cameras on in the house when I'm there.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. And we kind of were like that at first, but then we had one camera, and then the wife started getting into this. I want to see what the dog is doing when we're not there. And he's always in a room where there's no camera. So she'd be like, why can't we see over there? So you'd have to put another camera, but none in the bedrooms, obviously.
He's at the card table playing poker with his other dog.
Well, last night he was up on the counter howling, like when we snuck out, and he then starts sniffing around his treats. So I was like, oh, if he gets into that, we're in trouble.
None of the bedrooms that you know of.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that's funny. Let's move on here. We've got a couple of interesting internet related stories, and I really, there's not really much to say about these. But Google Fiber is launching 5 gigabits per second internet plan. It started testing back in October. It's only covering 4 cities right now, but Google says the $125 per month service will expand to other areas later this year. So right now, only Kansas City, West Des Moines, and Fiber's Utah cities. I don't know what that means, but symmetrical upload, download rates, and upgraded 10 gig fiber option as well. It comes with professional installation, a Wi-Fi 6 router, and up to 2 mesh network extenders. Yay. It's also kind of couples in line with like the Frontier announcement we saw last week, where they were rolling out, I think it was 5 gigabit nationwide as well. And then Verizon is talking about expanding their Fios lines in New York boroughs to all 5 boroughs, making that 2 gigabits per second. So there's what's interesting to me about all these stories is that there's faster internet starting to become available in regions that have the fiber connections. And we definitely don't have Wi-Fi that's like going to get anywhere near these speeds anytime soon. But I was kind of like sitting back and wondering, like, well, what are they installing for routers at these locations? Like when I got the fiber hooked up here, they gave me an Eero, and I must admit, I've never even taken it out of the bubble wrap. So I don't even know what it is. Like, it's just an Eero. And the guy was trying to drive off and not giving them. I'm like, no. Give me the Eeros. I will use them for, I don't know. They'll just sit there and collect
resell them.
Could resell them, yeah. I mean, they're new ones with the Wi-Fi 6, whatever.
Yeah, 6E.
So, yeah. So whatever those are, that's what I got. And TJ, you were saying that those have a 2.5 connection on them. So
yeah, one 2.5 and the other one is a 1 gig.
So that might work in some of these situations, but definitely not in the 5. Like you can't add them together and
just bond
2.
them.
Yeah, just put 2 together. No, that's not how it works. And the Wi-Fi on them is not going to be 2 gigabits as well. So I was kind of wondering what people were using for 5 gigabit router and 10 gigabit router if you got one of these services. Those are crazy speeds.
Yeah, and they have, I mean, I linked to a couple in the Slack channel there. They do have, 10 gig routers.
Sure.
There's several from MikroTik that are relatively cheap. I think they're under $500 each. So they exist. A lot of times when you get, service from an internet provider, they will give you their own branded equipment, which I would assume would support the speeds, right? A lot of times, until recently, they didn't really give you anything off the shelf. A couple of the carriers around here, they'll give you Eeros, kind of like what you got. But until Eero, and I would say the past year, maybe 2 years at most, it was always their own branded like Aeros equipment or Motorola equipment or whatever it was. So I think there, 10 gig and 5 gig stuff is out there. It's very, few and far between at the moment. But somebody that's, building this fiber network surely shouldn't have problems getting the hardware for it.
So the one thing I'm seeing is that they're throwing one LAN port for this 10 gig or 2.5 gig, but the LAN port would be 1 gig. So you're never going to get that full 2.5 gig to any one device. But I guess they're protecting you so that if you have multiple devices, then you can you can stream things at the same time, even though you probably won't be streaming anything that uses up 2.5 gig anyway. But that's one thing to keep in mind too.
Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of like stuck in the past or something, because I'm looking at the NetGate routers that we would sell at my work, and the one I have is not there anymore, but the 4100 is the newer one. It has an 8.15 gigabit layer 3 forwarding and a firewall of only 4.0 gigabit. So that's still under spec on a 5 gigabit connection. You'd have to go up to the 6100, and that one goes up to almost 20 gigabits, but it's basically the firewall is 9.93 gigabits. So that one's an $800 router. Not as bad as I thought it would be, actually. That's not terrible. So if you wanted to go full 10 gigabit, they have the 8200 for $13.95, and that one is an 18.5 gigabit firewall. So that's not bad. You've got some headroom there.
Yeah, most of the time you're limited by the backplane. So I mean, you could have all the fastest internet in the world coming into it, but it really depends on how many devices you have hooked up to it and how much data they're using.
Right.
I think the Unify Dream Machine Pro SE or whatever has a 2.5 gigabit port, but the backplane wasn't that much. Right. So you were actually very limited on what you could do. But it's consumer gear at the end of the day. So
yeah, right. Even with my provider, they give me 1.5 down, right? But the ports on the LAN side of that router are just 1 gigabit. So coming into my house, I can only utilize 1 gigabit, right? If I'm using my own router. So I have only one line going into my Unify Dream Machine, and it's just 1 gigabit. So I can't get the full 2 or 1.5 that they're giving me, because even if I put a Dream Machine Pro in there, I'm still only getting the 1 gigabit from my cable modem to it. Right. I can't get the 1.5 in. So we're kind of at a stage now where we're gonna have to start using their equipment.
Yeah, or getting one of these third-party things, or like you could even build your own, I guess, with pfSense, out of some kind of server type thing. But
I still wouldn't be able to do that, because if it's coming in on my cable modem, even if I put my modem in bridge mode, I still have to use their modem.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you had if you had like a 2 gig service or a 10 gig service, they would give you a modem that had that output on it. Because
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Or you could just buy your own. I mean, they have modems out now. I just worked on one today. It was a really tiny one. I've never seen. It was a couple inches tall or something. But it had a 2.5 gigabit port on it. So I mean, they're out there.
I'm going to see if my Rogers will let me do that. I'm not sure.
What, switch your own modem?
Yeah, they're a little picky about what you can use sometimes. I'm not sure if they'll let us use our own things.
Sometimes they'll have like a list of approved ones, and if it's not on the approved ones, then you can't do it.
Yeah, same thing down here in Freedom Land where they let you switch your modem. I don't know. I don't have a modem. I just have the ONT. But I was asking the guy when he hooked it up. I was like, if you guys do the if I had done the 2.5 at the time, because that's all they had, they didn't have the 5. It would have been a completely different setup, completely different ONT, and he didn't really know too much about it. So I didn't get very, very far with him on that one. So maybe if the price comes down. Right now, I did get my first bill for from them for $70 or whatever I'm paying a month for the next year. Yeah, for gig up, gig down.
That's nice.
And Comcast is sending me a check someday for about the same amount of money that I overpaid for. So
nice.
Can't complain there.
Well, actually, I have some internet to talk about as well.
Ooh,
I've been using the T-Mobile home internet, not at my home. It's been at my business, which isn't supported. Don't tell T-Mobile. And I was getting about 9-10 megabits per second, which isn't very good in the grand scheme of things. So I a couple months ago, I saw that Walmart was selling Straight Talk, a Straight Talk home internet router. And the router itself is $100, and you just buy it up front. And the service per month is $45 per month. And you can get speeds, I think it's like 50 to 200 megabits per second. It's supposedly unlimited. And, I'm in a big metal box, and right now I'm hitting about 90 megabits per second. So that's pretty good for 5G internet inside of a big old metal box. I moved the Unraid server over to the office. That seems to be working a lot better now that it's not overheating all the time, and everything is good now. So
very nice. I was looking into that service as like kind of as a backup, and there's all sorts of like ways you can get unlimited 5G internet of decent speeds into your house and that kind of thing. And one of them I ran across, and I'll have to go and look it up again. I actually ran across on Reddit, because you can't find anything on Google anymore. You have to like cite :Reddit now. Like, have you noticed that? Like,
well, I've been doing that by nature a couple years now. So
nothing is working on Google anymore. It's all just like ads and stuff. So yeah, cite :Reddit, what you were looking for, and somebody has posted on Reddit the question and answer. And I don't know. I ran across like these co-op things. They're like, I guess some law in America here forces cell companies to provide, an unlimited plan to companies that are nonprofit. So there are these various companies that have popped up that are, quote, nonprofit, and you buy a, quote, subscription or like a member fee to them, and you pay yearly, but it comes out to about what you're paying. But it's unlimited internet at like halfway decent speeds, and people use it all the time for like RVing and that kind of thing. But thought it was interesting that, there's all these other hacks where you can get it for like $20 if you hack an iPad EIMI or whatever number. And I was like, this seems so unreliable. I'm gonna put this on the back burner until the next time we lose internet for 3 weeks or whatever. Hurricane time.
Hopefully never again with New Frontier internet.
Yeah, I know. They actually stayed up for the hurricane, so hopefully we won't see any problems with it. Hopefully we won't see a hurricane again, but if we do, hopefully we won't see
a couple more months at least.
Yeah, it's cold right now. So, all right. Well, moving on, kind of keeping in with the internet chat here. I thought this was pretty interesting. Comcast subscribers are about to lose a pretty big perk. Free access to Peacock streaming is ending. Since they launched back in April 2020, the ad-supported version of Peacock Premium has been provided to Xfinity TV and broadband customers at no charge. But starting on April 3rd, it will no longer be offered to new subscribers. And as of June 26th, existing customers won't be able to get it either. And NBC Universal has confirmed that over to Variety. All good things must come to an end. This is kind of one of the perks. Actually, I just found out we were actually using this the other day for my sister-in-law is a Comcast subscriber, and she gave us her Peacock, login or whatever. And so I guess we've been using that anytime we needed to watch Peacock shows. But I guess that will no longer be the case anymore. So womp womp.
I didn't even know this was a thing, to be honest. So I really don't have any comment on it. What is on there? I mean, what do you watch on there?
They have some Peacock exclusive shows. Like
Okay.
what isn't your toe sucking show on there? Isn't that, is that on Hulu?
Tulsa King. I can't say it properly.
That's what I said.
Now. Thanks to you. Tulsa.
I think that's on a different streaming service.
I think it's on Hulu. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it was interesting that these kind of free arrangements and things they're all kind of drying up pretty quickly here. Peacock, Netflix, and the belt tightening has begun on these services, which we knew was coming, I guess. But
that's the annoying part about these streaming services, I find, is that you can't rely on any of them, to be there tomorrow or be there tomorrow at even the same price. Like they're constantly changing, they're renaming, they're splitting, and I see people even complaining about they want to go watch a show and the show is either not even complete, like they don't have certain seasons of it, or they've deleted the old seasons. Like that stuff just drives you nuts, and they're just ruining something that should be so much better.
This is why people download stuff illegally.
Yeah.
So much less hassle.
Yep. I saw Richard on Mastodon complaining about something along those lines. And yeah, it's kind of my reaction too. It's why people go off and they download things, because you can't trust these companies and their lousy licensing agreements and whatever when they say they're going to have something and then all of a sudden it's not there anymore. So
yeah, it's so upsetting sometimes when I tell people, here's a great show to watch, go watch it, and they're like, well, how can I watch it? I'm like, you default to say Netflix and they're like, no, it's not on there. And then
just
you
Google
say like,
it.
yeah, you're like Amazon Prime, check there, and they're like, oh, it's there, but I gotta pay for it. And it's like, okay, well, like I don't know where to tell them to watch some of these shows sometimes.
Yeah, Amazon Prime is like the worst one because I never open it. The only reason I have Amazon Prime is for the shipping at this point.
mm-hmm.
But once in a while, I'm like, yeah, let's check out Amazon Prime Video. Let's see what's on there. And then I scroll through the whole list. I find, I spend like 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, this looks like a good one. Oh, do you want to rent this one for $5? No, I don't want to rent it from. Like,
yes.
Come on.
Oh. Don't get me started. Don't get
so aggravating. Annoyed Kevin.
Don't get me started, because that happened to me the other day. I was trying to find one show and I was so excited. And you know what? We actually, I was like, okay, it's there. I didn't actually hover over it. I just saw it there and I was like, okay, it's there. We'll watch it. Went to make some popcorn ready. Got all comfortable. Then we hovered over it. It's like $5.99. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
It's the worst UI ever. Yeah.
Out of spite, I did not pay for it. I wasn't so mad, I would have probably just paid for it just to watch it. But out of spite, I was so mad I did not pay for it. We watched something else.
Yeah, I'd be curious how many people pay for it, because I've never bought or rented anything from Amazon Prime. Because I just, if it's not included in my subscription, which, like I said, I don't really care about it anyway, but if it's not included in my subscription, then like I just don't want any part of it. So I think that's where my hang up is.
That was the one thing I always hated about Amazon Prime. They were like, oh, you get all this free stuff with it. And I'm like, awesome, we get Amazon Prime Music. But every song I ask for, I'm not allowed to listen to, like it almost feels like false advertising. It's like, stop saying I have access to all this stuff, like when really everything I really want, I don't have access to.
Yep. Same here. I guess they did have that Lord of the Rings thing, and we started watching it. I think we made it through like half of the first episode. My wife fell asleep, and I'm like, "Hey, do you want to watch this?" She's like, "Oh yeah. You can't watch it without me now. I want to know." Because
that was their show, I think, right?
Yeah, so it was theirs.
They would give it to you for free. Yeah.
Yep. But we haven't gotten past the first episode, so oh well.
It gets better.
I don't remember what happened now. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Start over.
Yep, start over. All right, let's move on here. All the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found on our show notes over at HomeTech.fm/424. All right, I did the old switcheroo on you guys. Pick of the week.
Ooh.
Mr. Jimmy over there on TikTok.
Wow.
If you haven't seen his videos, they're funny and also very informative. And let's see, I'll put a link to this hilarious one about it's the meme that nobody wants to live this way. And then of course it's what is that? It's from
I was gonna ask. I've never seen this. What is it, from a TV show?
Devil Wears Prada. It's a movie. Yeah. And it's a clip from that. But he has a bunch of. I was watching some of his other videos. He has things about automating and detecting signals on your dryer. I just saw that was posted. So yeah, go check him out. Automated_house, friend of the show, Jimmy. Good having him as a friend of the show because he's always got pretty good answers, but he also has a pretty funny TikTok thing. So go check him out. Wow, he's quite prolific. I didn't think he had this many videos, but holy cow, he does.
I know. Yeah, I follow him on Instagram and stuff, and I feel bad for the wives of us home automators, you know, like because they really go through a lot with what we do, you know. I just noticed mine trying to control the fireplace. I'm gonna have to go and explain to her. Obviously, I did it wrong if she can't get it on, right? But that's the part of the job living with me.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
Same thing happens here, and it luckily it hasn't happened since I hooked that flow meter back up, but it used to turn off the shower, you know, like at 30 minutes when she was in there a little bit too long or had been running it or whatever, and then got in the shower. Yeah, that luckily that hasn't happened in a good while. So I think I finally found a setting to turn it off, or they added a setting because it definitely wasn't there before. But
if I ever screwed that up, I'd be moving into a storage unit.
She was very angry. Very.
I got
angry,
room for you in mine.
I was like, I'll turn it back on, and you can go finish rinsing out your hair. And then I turned it back on and I left. Just run away.
Nope, done.
Yep.
Where'd you go, errands?
I had to run. I had to go to the store, pick stuff up. Yeah.
I would have just said, "Oh, there's a water got cut off. Oh no, you know, blame it on the city."
Yeah,
And,
see, you gotta think ahead.
Then you fake a call to the city and say, "Get it on
off?
right now." You know, my wife's showering, and then turn it back on and be like, "Thank you," and hang up. And you know, blame it on somebody else. You got to think faster than that.
Yeah. The worst part was when I was like at CDA or something, and the TVs just stopped working, and and since it's on like a video distribution system, that's what stopped working for some reason. I don't really know why to this day, but it just took a good old power reset and it came back alive. But man, that wasn't good. But was funny part, I was actually in the booth of the video distribution company. I was like, hey tech support guy, come here.
Why is it doing this?
Why is it doing? Talk to my wife. Hand her the phone.
Bye.
Yeah, later. All right. Well, if you have any feedback, questions, comments, picks of the week, or great ideas for show, give us a shout. Our email address is feedback@HomeTech.fm, or you can visit HomeTech.fm/feedback and fill out the online form. All right. Got a couple of project updates. I don't know. I haven't really done anything. I've been troubleshooting and messing around with work server stuff. If anybody cares, I basically tested a reverse proxy that I set up on Amazon to make sure they can handle a few thousand concurrent WebSocket connections. It's just stupid, but that's what I've been doing. But Gavin, looks like you've been busy working on dashboards and stuff. That looks more fun.
It's not really that fun, but since my Home Assistant's been so stable, I've had some time to actually play with. Not really, it's the dashboard, but the interface that we use on our phones, right? And been tweaking it, modifying it, trying to find a good way to present things, minimize the initial screen because there was too much on there, and it just had me thinking. I'm like, what is considered a good dashboard? So the guys over at Lewis over at Everything Smart Home just released a video where he got submissions of dashboards and he kind of rated them and went through them and stuff like that. So it was interesting to see his take on what he liked versus what I would have liked, right? Because he would give like 9.0 to some things and I'd be like, no, that's a 6 in my books, right? But it did give me a lot of ideas on how to tweak my own. So I'm working on that. But I'm curious what people think is a good dashboard. And, like if you want to send me a screenshot of not necessarily yours, but like an interface to like if you're using Elon or if you're using, whatever system you're using that you think is good, send me a screenshot of it and let me see. Because I just think it's, everyone has their own preference. But some people will just say mine is the best way of doing it for everybody, right? I think the Home Assistant does a great job with what it has, and it's very customizable. So, out of the box, I think you have something nice looking that you can tweak like with different cards or even add different themes pretty easily. So I don't know. I'm just
and it
curious.
lines up with what they have in their app too, which is nice. Like I noticed that. Yeah. So it's like what you have on your computer screen, the way the cards work and everything kind of falls right into place on the app. So that's kind of nice that you can go in there and customize it and it still looks good.
It can be annoying by default because the default one, it kind of feels like it's throwing the cards anywhere. So what I do is I use a vertical stack always, so that it's just everything's on top of each other. Or you can do grid, or there's other plugins that are front end, things you can add that you can line it up how you want to and make it a lot easier, instead of these things just seem to be popping up in random places. So it's easier to design, but you got to use like the hack store. They have a lot of integrations and stuff that you'll add that will make it so much nicer, right?
Well, I have to plug it back in, I guess, because it
and turn it back on.
Yeah, it didn't. Well, I guess I have to rebuild the whole. That night that you and I stayed up a little bit late, on the show here, and we're like getting my virtual machine up and going. Like I have to redo that again. Clearly, like
it's pretty easy.
The bad memory took the Home Assistant virtual machine down. So.
But yeah, if you're on Mastodon, Gavin Campbell at HomeTech.social. If you're on Twitter, GVN Campbell, just send me what you think is a good interface. I'm just curious what people think.
Yeah, me too. I don't like I don't like a lot of interfaces. What I like best is honestly I forget what it's called, Control Center on iOS, where you just like swipe down.
Yep.
And yell at Apple about a lot of things, but some of the times, whatever AI they have on here works right. And most of the times, the couple of devices I want to actively control are just right there. And it's usually the same couple of devices, but it does change up. Like earlier today when I was talking about this and looking at it, it had like a lighting scene that I probably normally trigger or something, or tell one of the HomePods to trigger or something at this time. But for the most part, like when I swipe down, it gives me a couple of options, and most of them are pretty much what I want to interact with, I guess. So that's my extent of a dashboard.
Yeah.
I don't really go into the Home app though, because
I've used the Home app. I've used the Home app a lot, and when you have a few devices, I found it nice. But when you start getting into a lot of devices and organizing into rooms and stuff, I just found it like it was just hard to work with. It very time consuming. I didn't like the interface, like having to swipe over to the rooms and stuff like that. So I'm not really a fan of it as you grow, but some people seem to love it. And in the end, I think it's TJ that told me earlier, it's like it's what works for you. Right, it is the best interface, so I'm not going to knock the Home app, because if it works for you, awesome, that's your thing, right? But I'm just curious what other people, what kind of interface, even just the design, if they have, if you're able to customize yours, what design do you like? What's your favorite design?
Yep. And I will plug, because I tested this app really early on, and I was a horrible beta tester because I didn't really do anything with it. But if you are on the HomeKit ecosystem, the way HomeKit is designed is you can just have another app, right? Like you can just do whatever you want to do. And this guy, I'm going to put a link to it in the show notes, at sceneflow.com. He put together a really cool like app that you basically can go in and just make your own custom dashboard, like what you're talking about with Home Assistant, but for HomeKit stuff, I guess. So if depending on the ecosystem you're in, you may have these options available to you. But again, I started using this, and it's kind of that thing what you're talking about, Gavin. Like I just don't know what to do. Like it's just I get like I have to look at somebody else's thing to be creative, to like well, I don't know what's good, like what dashboard, what I want to hear, and what serves my purposes usually is yelling in the air for the thing to turn on and off the light, or swiping down. Not necessarily a dashboard like this, which is probably why I wasn't a very good beta tester for this guy. But I did
this
like
looks really nice though. It looks nice.
Yeah,
I have to admit.
You can customize all sorts of things. You can, and what I really loved about it, like you can put emojis on things. Like you used to be able to put emojis on things, and I was like, oh man, you got me in with emojis. But I don't know. It looks like it's actually done a couple of iterations since I've seen it, but it was definitely a nice app to use and see. So,
and it looks very similar to Home Assistant in terms of the layouts and stuff. So I could take I could take some ideas from this, even for my setup. The hard thing I have is when I'm designing this and trying to put it together, like in my head, I know what each thing does, But I want my wife to be able to open it up and her to go, oh, these are the rooms, so I have to make sure I can fit labels on it that says, hey, rooms, right? And not just a little icon of whatever to symbolize rooms, right? So, it's a learning experience, and I'm constantly playing with it, and it's kind of fun, just designing this and then testing it on her. It drives her nuts, but it's a fun social experience.
Okay, well, good luck there.
I'll pay for it somehow, but that's all right.
You already are. Honestly, this scene flow is probably one of the nicer ones I've seen. I'm kind of in the camp that all the user interfaces for automation systems kind of stink. I mean, there's functionality that is usually there, but aesthetically, like a lot of them are not very nice looking.
They're like data driven almost.
Yeah. And like, my Home Assistant one's very basic. It's basically just little toggle switches and, it tells me the temperature and all that good stuff. I haven't done anything fancy with mine, and it just works. I mean, it does exactly what I needed it to. If I were to give somebody my phone, they could look at it and tell exactly what everything does. And for me, that serves its purpose, because most of the time we're going to be, like Seth, we're just going to be yelling in the air, telling stuff to happen, or it's just automated in the background for me. So, for me, the user interface doesn't matter as much as long as it's easy to use, which I guess is part of the user interface. So,
right. Yeah. Just flipping through this, like there's all sorts of HomeKit apps that are out there. Home Plus, I think, is another one. I don't know, like this, the way you can go in and customize it just always looked better to me. I guess it does look pretty good, but it also comes with like dashboards already. So like, well, I guess this is grouped by rooms, grouped by your scene, security, lights, and devices. You can just kind of go through and scroll through everything if you wanted to. So
that's pretty nice.
You have options right out of the box. There you go.
Yeah, probably do like Gavin and just copy that from my Home Assistant.
There you go. I probably just will yell at the air.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend any time on this.
Yeah. All right. TJ, any project updates? Looks like your office is coming together. You got a nice brick wall up behind you now.
Yeah, I just built that over the weekend. It's been going pretty good. I can walk through it, so that's impressive. Now I got the cubicle built. Now I'm kind of just getting everything into its final place. I've got shelving everywhere, and finally have it sorted to where I have like an area for customer products. I have an area for stock. I have a product or a shelving unit for wiring and all the wiring tools that you need and more wire. So that's pretty nice. Everything is kind of getting into its its appropriate place. So no fun projects. I finished the home theater a couple weeks ago. We're gonna go back and take some photos of that here soon. I've got a couple other things in the works right now, but nothing too exciting.
Awesome. Well, I don't have anything exciting. Like I said, I've been working on work stuff and trying to juggle a bunch of things and spin plates. And what is this thing I'm going to?
Light-a-palooza.
Yeah,
I like how I know what it is, but you don't.
I can't remember. It's like Light-a-Rama, Light-a-palooza, something. I don't really remember. But it's a little thing in Phoenix. I guess it's kind of centered on the industry that we have, the CDIA channel, and it's focused on like lighting control and LED lighting and all like lighting design, all that good stuff. So hopefully I can find something there to bring back to the show. Going for work, gotta go around and schmooze and talk to people about stuff, but it did let me sign up for like education panels and discussions, so maybe I'll learn something while I'm there. Who knows? It's always good. If you're there at the Light-a-palooza, say hi if you recognize me.
Seth.
Yeah, I will be wearing the black wire shirt and probably hiding in the back corner somewhere. So, pretty easy to spot.
Don't talk to
Feel
me.
free to wake them up.
All right. Is that it for this week, guys? All good?
Yep.
All right. Well, if let's go ahead and wrap things up. We do want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports the show, but especially those who are able to financially support the show through our Patreon page. If you don't know about the Patreon page, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support and learn how you can support HomeTech for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 a month gets you a big shout out on the show, but every pledge gets you an invite to the Slack, our Slack chat, the hub, where you and other supporters of the show can gather every day and force Greg to change the directions of the screws on his faceplate. Man, TJ, brutal.
Well, it's still the wrong way. I mean, everybody knows the screws go up and down, not sideways. And now Gavin has to change all his because all his are sideways.
No.
So.
I'm a sideways person.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Like,
so
why is that wrong? It
gotta
goes with the
it's gotta
flow
go up
of the
and down,
box.
Up and down.
No, the sideways goes with the flow of the
Billionaire's
box.
doors open like this.
You know what? The screw, what works for you is the best screw.
Screwless plates.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to look at them.
Exactly.
Screwless plates. There you go.
I'm curious. When you're sending in your dashboards or you're pinning on dashboards to Gavin, send in horizontal or vertical screws. Which is which?
Let us know
if you're in the screw camp. If you're not in the screwless faceplate camp.
Or star screws. What do they call those?
Security screws.
Yeah. Phillips. Yeah, you could have a plus screw, but then you have to like line it up as a plus or an X. Which one? I don't know. I would say
they have the star ones where it's like doesn't matter where you have it.
Yeah, those are perfect.
Yeah,
it's
those
always
are perfect.
Right then.
Yep.
I haven't seen those in. Well, that would be very annoying, but
that would be hilarious. You just like buy a new house or something. You go in there to change the light switches, and it's all security screws.
And you don't have the screwdriver for
it. one way security screws, so you can't even take them out. You have to like drill a notch into them.
You're stuck with this.
God, that'd be hilarious.
All right, well, check that out in the hub. If you want to help out and support the show, but can't do it financially, totally understand. We just appreciate a 5-star review on iTunes or positive rating in the podcast app of your choice. That wraps up another week here at Home Tech. Everybody have a great weekend.
Take care.
Adios.
Star screws. That would drive me nuts. You go replace a switch and it's a security screw that you can't get out.
I think I just want to do that now. I just want to order a bunch of those like security screws and just go to random places and swap them out. And then
what would be even better?
Use
the regular screws on the plate, but put the security screws on the actual switch itself. So they take off the plate and they're like, what the hell is this?
God, that would be funny.
Well, we wouldn't be there to witness it, so I don't think we can laugh.
Just use one. Don't use two.
Laugh internally. Oh no, we're using two.
No, just one. Just one.
When I was changing all my switches, some of the switches would have like Phillips on the top and it's a square one on the bottom, and that drove me nuts. I was like, whoever did this before was switching up the screws. I'm pretty sure they did this on purpose to screw with the next person, and I was that next person.
Oh yeah. Why not just use a bunch of these one-way flathead screws? So you have to get a special tool to even take them out. So it's not even like a security bit. Here, I'll link it in the back channel.
Oh, they probably put the flat end on one side and one side so you can't reverse it. Yeah. Oh,
they use those for like bathroom stalls and stuff so people can't like take the doors off. But wouldn't that be hilarious? Man. To just go and go to remove your stuff and it's like, oh my God, I can't even use my flathead.
Oh, that would drive me nuts.
You should do this on things like your thermostat or something.
I should do this to my landlord.
Yeah, just do it in your apartment before you leave. Yeah.
when I sell my house and I have to switch the switches back, I'll put those on instead. That way I don't have to deal with it.
You get an angry text in the middle of the night. Do you know anything about these screws? How do I get them out?
Oh, they were stripped like that. I don't know.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Wait, is there no, there's only one, it is just a one-way screw. There's no reversing bit.
No, so there's actually a tool that you can get that reverses it. But yeah, I mean, you can't just use like a regular flathead screwdriver. You have to get a special bit for it, or you do what everybody else does and just take a grinding wheel and cut a slot into it, and then you can take it out then.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I've had to do many, many times.
Wow. Man, you guys are brutal. No way.
Well, man. for some reason, it was very popular with like deadbolts and stuff, like back in like the 50s and 60s. Yeah. So I guess burglars couldn't take your deadbolt when they broke in.
What's funny? As I scroll down, frequently bought together with these screws is the screw removal tool.
Oh yeah, yeah, makes sense.
Whenever people buy the screw, they buy the screw removal tool.
Here in America, it has the tool, the install tool, and I went to the Q&A page and it said, "Will this remove the screws?" It said no, so I
it will not.
Gotta find the screw removal tool. That'd be great.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know why you'd really want these, to be honest. I mean, I guess in some places it makes sense, but The description says safes, security gates, public restroom fixtures, enclosures, and other applications that call for greater security. I don't know any safe that is going to use these, but I guess you could, I guess.
Be annoying.
I'm going to add a review saying these work great on my home automation switches, and then somebody will read that and buy them and use them.
I'm tired of people switching out my light switches when I'm at work.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I
Well,
learned something new.
Yep. Cool.
That's what we're about here at HomeTech. Learning new things.
Learning new things. Irreversible screws.
Pissing people off.
Yeah. That's the home technology way. So. All right. Well, thanks for whoever's still there listening in the live world. It's probably just Gavin, but
it probably is.
I closed that window long ago.
Oh, well, somebody's still there. Anyway,
it's my keyboard.
Bye keyboard. Yep. Thanks for listening. End the broadcast.